So let me remove this. Okay, so I'm going to move on to a different direction. I want to work on the valves. I'm just going to go through them, open them up. I'm going to change out the O-rings and lube them all up before I hose up the figure. I'm also going to remove this Animatronic connector because I'm not going to use it. And I'm going to use a sub D connector because that'll be easier to buy connectors for. But when I take this Animatronics off, I am going to mark all the connections. So I also was looking at these splices, and this one butt splice pulled right out. It wasn't a good connection to begin with. So yeah, I'm going to go through the valves. Here I go. Okay, so I undid all the connectors. I wrote them down. It was pretty easy though. The pin numbers are the same as the valve numbers, except all your negatives are going through 23 and 24. So this is gone. This, I'm just going to put it in the trash. I took off the wire nuts and the crimps that were on here, and I soldered them and heat shrinked them, and then I tied this all up so it would look kind of neat. What I'm going to do now is there's a YouTube video that was posted a long time ago about a guy cleaning his Mac valves. I'll post a link to that video in the description below. I'm going to watch that video, and then I'm going to go and start tearing these apart and lube them up. But I think I might, the outside's kind of dirty, I think I might clean the whole outside of the bank too. Okay, fast forward, I did the first 16 valves. I have one valve left. I thought I would just film the last valve I do, so later on when all my valves are sticking and not working, you guys know exactly what not to do. So, first thing you do is take the snap ring off the top. I'm like looking in the GoPro, making sure it's in frame, and I'm trying to do this at the same time. So, okay, snap ring off. So then you pull the cap off. Now I'm replacing all the O-rings, so I'm gonna pull the O-ring off. Okay, I have some hot water that had some soap in it that's cooled down to cold water, so I'm just gonna dip that in there, get the grit off. And another thing I've been doing is this centerpiece, I've been marking what side is the top because some of them have some chunks taken out of them, and that centerpiece slides in and out of a O-ring. So there's my mark right there, so I'm gonna clean this up. So this one is pretty smooth. Okay, then there's a spring in the center here, so take the spring out. Some of these springs have been dirty, some of them not. This one has some crap on it, so just dunk it in the water and let it dry off some. Okay, now we take out the spool. So there's a hole in the side of the spool. You don't want to try to scratch it like I just did there. So just take it out nice and easy, and the spool comes out. Now, spool number 4 was stuck down in there real bad, so, and it seemed like it was a little tight in the hole when I put it back in, but definitely valve number 4 wouldn't have worked if I wouldn't have taken it apart. Probably still doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to take the O-rings out. There's a little O-ring in the center here, and I don't have the right tools. You should have like an O-ring pick. Oh, there we go. Got it first try. You just don't want to try to mark up the inside. So throw all the old O-rings out, and then there's an O-ring on each end. So each valve actually has 4 O-rings. And then I was taking this and dunking it in the water. And like I said, this was warm water, and I put a little soap in it. So just trying to get the grit out of there. Then I've been looking down these holes. So this one looks pretty clean. Most of them were relatively clean, except for a couple of them. So I kind of feel down, make sure there's no grit in there. And I've been taking an air hose and blowing them off. So then we wipe off the spool. Just trying to get any grit and grime. One of them seemed like they had sand in it. I don't know what it was. It was something was in it. But this one doesn't seem that bad. 17, I believe, is body lean. Okay, then I blow it off with the hose as well. Okay, so now we want to put the O-rings on the spool. So I start with the O-ring that goes in the center, which is the hardest. You just kind of push it in the groove. Oh crap. Of course the air compressor comes on when I'm filming. Okay, so you want to try to get the O-ring in the groove there. It takes some finagling. Some of them pop right in, no problem. Some of them give me trouble. Since I'm filming this one, it's going to give me trouble. Just nice and easy. There we go. So it's in the groove. And then 2 O-rings on each end, or an O-ring on each end. Okay, then I've been taking some white lithium grease, putting some on the bottom. And this spool makes contact on the side in 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just going to put a little dab on all 6 contacts and just spread it around. Now hopefully the downside of the lithium is it's gonna, any dirt or grime is gonna stay in the valve. But this is what the video I have linked in the comments. This is what that guy was doing. And then I'm going to stick it back in the hole. Just very carefully work it. And there we go, it's in the bottom. So now I take the spring, put a little grease on the spring just to coat it. And I'm going to put that in there. Carefully work it around that O-ring that we put in earlier. Now we definitely want to put some grease on this plastic piece because this plastic piece rubs up against the O-ring. It what seals off the center of the spool. Nope, a little too much. Probably a little too much, but. And then stick it in there, and then I just exercise it back and forth to make sure it's nice and loose. And then finally the end cap, put the O-ring on the end cap, and I have plenty of grease on my hands. See, that turned sideways on me. Okay, push it down in there, and then put the end cap on. And then the snap ring. So for those of you who might not know, snap rings have 2 sides on them. They have a curved side and they have a flat side. You want the flat side to absorb the pressure. Now there's probably not a lot of force in this situation, but if you ever have a snap ring that's holding a lot of force, if you have the curved side taking the pressure, it could bend the snap ring in and make it pop out. So this side right here is the flat side, and we want the flat side up because that's where the pressure is. Oh. And then pop it in the groove. Okay, it's in the groove. So that's what I did to all the valves. So all the valves I did that to, and hopefully they won't give me any problems or stick, but time will tell. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change out the connectors or the fittings on the end so I can use them. So each end has two fittings. One is your pressure, one is your exhaust. Two fittings, pressure and exhaust. And then these are exhaust too. They come out of the bottom. Now, originally all the exhausts went to an aluminum block that had foam in it to kind of muffle the sound. For right now, I'm just going to leave them open like that and see how loud it is. If it is really loud, I'll just go ahead and put some kind of muffler on it. And originally they put pressure in on both sides, I guess, for better airflow. But right now, I'm just going to plug one side of the pressure, and then I got this reducing fitting to put a 1/4 inch disconnect in, quick disconnect in, so I can hook it up to my air compressor. Okay, I hooked up the pressure just to see what would happen. And the funny part is, with the valves de-energized, all the air is coming through the B port. With the exception of number 2, it's coming through the A port and the B port's plugged up. Valve number 3, the B port's plugged up, but nothing's coming out of the A port. So I don't know why this one's backwards. I guess I'll figure it out later. Okay, well, earlier today I cut off the old connector. So today I'm going to put on the new connector. I got this sub-D connector right here from eBay, which is RDV25, which is a common connector that you can get them all over the place. They're not rare like the Centronics. And when I make my own control system and my control boards, it's easier to use this connector than the Centronics. So I'm just going to put the video on time lapse as I rewire this up to the new connector. Okay, there we go. The valves are all done and all ready. Got the new connector on the end. This is 18 gauge wire in case you're wondering. Got it all taped up nice and tight. I ohmed out everything. Each valve is about 68 to 70 ohms. So I guess I'll end this video here. After this, the next step is to hose up the figure, and then once I hose up the figure, I can start running it, which is the fun stuff, the fun part, I should say. Well, thanks for watching.